Who doesn't love The Evil Dead? Everyone loves The Evil Dead. With a pair of sequels, video games, a remake, a television show, and even a musical, Evil Dead is one of the most iconic horror franchises of the modern era. The original film was a gritty, independent slice of backwoods horror that inspired countless imitators, spawned an entire media empire, and launched the careers of its creators. But of course, such a rich and fully formed idea doesn't just appear out of thin air. Sam Raimi and friends had been making short films on Super 8mm for years before they struck gold with The Evil Dead. One of these films was Within the Woods, the even grittier and more independent direct antecedent to The Evil Dead. Raimi observed that the most popular and engaging films at his local drive-in theaters were gory horror movies, and so he decided that's what he would make in order to get distribution for a feature film. In an effort to secure funding for a proper full-length film, he and his team of collaborators put together a 30-minute cabin-in-the-woods horror film that would serve as a proof of concept that he could show to potential investors. And thus, Within the Woods was born. The basic premise of Within the Woods will be familiar to fans of The Evil Dead. Two pairs of young lovers go to a remote cabin to enjoy some peace and quiet when ancient forces begin to possess our characters and chaos ensues. That being said, there are some notable divergences from the now beloved Evil Dead canon. First of all, Bruce Campbell is not the protagonist. Bruce is indeed in the film, but rather than being the lead character, he's now the first person turned into a demon, and instead his girlfriend is the hero. You'll still recognize her familiar face as the lead is portrayed by Ellen Sandelweiss, who would return as Cheryl in the feature film. Allegedly, Raimi made the main character a female to keep with the popular horror trope of having a scream queen as the lead, a la Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween. The other significant divergence is that the demonic possession is a result of them being on a Native American burial ground, as opposed to the more ancient and mystical Sumerians from The Evil Dead. If you are a diehard fan of the Evil Dead series, or are just fascinated with these lost nuggets of independent film, then you'll definitely want to seek this one out. It's super interesting to watch from a historical perspective, and you'll get a kick out of seeing the embryonic version of what would become one of history's great horror films. But if you're just watching this as a film in a vacuum, it's cute. It's fun to watch as a piece of film history, but there's really nothing in it that I think stands on its own 2 feet as genuine quality. There just really isn't enough meat on these bones to enjoy as something other than a curiosity. There's a cabin in the woods, chanting demons, the now legendary Raimi cam, but not too much else that's interesting in terms of plot and visuals, in my opinion. Perhaps the main thing working against this film is that since it was never officially released on home video, the picture quality is quite poor. It was shot on 8mm film, blown up to 35mm for projection, and then at some point dubbed onto a VHS tape, and now that VHS dub has been burned onto DVDs by fans and bootleggers. Shockingly, I think the sound is adequate. Not a great sounding movie, but all the dialogue is clear and understandable, which, when you get a good look at the picture, will be quite a surprise. The special effects look like they're pretty fun in a we spent $1,500 making this film in rural Michigan kind of way, but the bad image quality makes it so that they're sort of hard to even see and distinguish. It would be great if this was properly restored and made available to watch, but partially because some popular and copyrighted disco music plays in a couple scenes, and partially because I don't think Sam Raimi wants anything to do with this film now, that will unfortunately probably never happen. It looks like a couple of people have uploaded the whole thing to YouTube, and the picture quality looks pretty similar to my bootleg DVD. There's no official home video release, but if you're a dedicated DVD collector, I'm sure you'll be able to track it down somewhere. Let me know what you thought of this one if you check it out, and if there's anything else you'd like to hear me review in the future. Thank you for watching, and check out my channel for some other reviews of horror and exploitation films from around the world.